Hello, this is Bob Anglin.
And I'm Phil Simpkins.
And this is the Arro Social Hour, the newest one of 2023.
Welcome. Hopefully your 2022 went well.
Well, here's the amazing part is I was just realizing. So we did the first one of these and it fell off, and we did some and then we fell off, right?
Yes.
But the first one we did was just over 3 years ago.
Wow, has it been that long?
Yeah, so we first did the first ones, and then COVID hit, right? And then we couldn't do them.
Yes.
And then we kind of tried to do them again once they kind of let up. We tried that with some of our salespeople.
Yes.
Not saying that we're not going to bring them back, but, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then other things changed, right? A lot of things have changed. So we really haven't done this for over a year, probably.
Has it been that long? Probably.
At least, right?
We did a few, but probably not Arro Social Hour.
I think we did our last Arro Social Hour was well over a year ago.
All right.
So we're bringing it back. We're trying to be more, proactive about that. And cool thing is that I can cut and paste whenever I want.
That's right.
Whatever I want. So let's go back to the beginning.
Back to the beginning.
Right. So let's talk about. Let's not go back to the very beginning. Let's go back to. Let's talk about the last year.
The last year.
Crazy stuff has been
just
going on.
Just 2022.
Some great
stuff.
stuff.
Actually, we've done a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff.
Yeah. No, let's talk about a few things. Like, so let's talk about the code itself, the app itself, right?
Yes.
So the Arro Social Token Network. My basic pitch is always, Arro Social Token Network, it's just like any other, it's a social media app, works just like any other app. You can text your friends, you can DM your friends, you can post your pictures in up to 10 minutes of video. At the beginning of the year, we had a lot of problems with its functionality.
Yeah, it's still in beta, and so the Arro Social app was still in beta. We were still having some bugs that basically you couldn't download a video, but now we've fixed most of those bugs, and now you can download, just like any other application, download your pictures and videos and share with your friends and followers. And then basically you can also,
You can DM, you can do whatever you want, right?
Yeah, you can DM, you can talk to your friends, and you can actually follow those that you want to follow on the app.
And like at the beginning of the year, most of those things were just like proof of concept level, right?
Yeah.
They weren't even, we crashed if you looked at it wrong.
And
that was with
odd.
300 and some people, 400 people using it. And then we did one big change. And that big change was that we handed it over to the younger generation.
Yeah.
So this Gen X company
Z.
basically handed it over to Gen Z to see what they thought about the app and what they would like to do. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, actually in January, when I was still in my sling, we chatted with some Gen Zers over in California, basically where all the good coders are, right? And so they said, hey, how would you like to redesign the app? They actually wanted to redesign the whole company, which we let them in a little bit. So we let them into the code, but not the whole redesign of the company, because we've actually chatted with some experts about the mission, the goals, and they were all in agreement with most of the missions and goals, well, all the missions and goals of the company, but the code, we've always had, even the CTO agree that the front end design part, we've always kind of questioned and we're always seeking help in what the front end wanted to look like and how it evolved.
Yeah, the basic user interface.
Yeah, the UI UX, right? So it's always been the UI UX we wanted to get insight on. And so we had them develop a front end, and that was actually developed probably over about 3 months, and it was all about integration of that beginning Gen Z development, integrating that into our token utilization, into what the inner workings of the code and how it looked, kind of the touch and feel of the code. And so we integrated that probably through July, August timeframe, and that was up and running in September, October.
October 30th was
Yeah.
whenever the newest version came out.
Yeah, and
The
so
one
that
actually
was-
worked.
Yeah,
Because what happened is,
exciting change.
let's go back to where we first did the user interface,
Yeah,
and it was a fiasco.
yeah, it absolutely was.
Yeah.
And it took years, like especially in the coding world, right? That middle code,
Yeah.
the mid code always takes a lot of time, right? You're calling back and forth between the database. It's really boring code work.
Mm-hmm.
Even the coders will tell you it's boring code work. That you're working with it's API calls back and forth, right? It's even boring to talk about, and I apologize, right? And that's a lot of where your bugs come from, is that API code then doesn't call the right things. You may be calling the wrong things, and that's where a lot of your errors and your bugs come from. And so once we got all that developed, then you actually have front-end coders and back-end coders, and then the middle code is where all the action happens. And we finally got all that developed and analyzed, and actually had that working. So that is where actually investors don't even want to touch you at that phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
Investors will not invest in development work. They want, once you have that development done, they want the users and the growth and all that. And so we're at that stage now that our development's done. Now we're attracting users and getting folks up and running and start the advertising phase of our growth and moving on with that.
Yeah. So and just a little callback to those during this whole UI UX changeover and the problems that were going on. I made serious physical threats to our coders. I mean, I didn't do it directly to them, but I told Phil there may be some physical problems for those people if they cannot get this stuff done, right? Because it was frustrating at that point.
Yeah,
right?
well,
we had taken a long time to get to that point. We had gone through highs and lows that we'll definitely talk about someday, but not right now. That hopefully we'll get to that place where they really have succeeded in all this, and then we can talk about it. If not, nobody wants to hear the story. But like the highs and lows this company's gone through.
It actually makes for good video.
It makes for a good story, right? But it makes for one of those comedies that are not very funny.
Yeah, it's the dark comedy. We don't like dark comedy.
But coming out, the light finally started to shine October 30th, where we really had an app that everybody was proud of.
Yeah.
And then we took it to. It was just in time for us to take it to a couple places.
Yeah, well, we actually won Code Launch, right? We were semifinalists in Code Launch.
What was fun is at Code Launch we were around coders, mostly, right?
Yeah.
These were tech people, lots of coders, and they loved the app, right? They were excited about it.
Yes,
so they were super excited about it. They were looking at it. I think we had 78 of them at the thing, and there really wasn't that many people at the thing, about maybe 100 or 200 people.
Yeah, about 200 people.
And probably half of them signed up for
we got a lot
our
of
app,
sign-ups.
like actually got onto the app during that evening. They became
Tech Geeks
members, right?
Yeah.
And then the next day, was it the next day or the day after that? The next day we were in Austin.
Yeah.
At a Capital Factory, had another startup startup crawl.
Yeah, Tech Week.
And we were there, and I felt like a rock star, kind of, because people were like crowded around us. They were talking.
Downloaded the app, really excited about the development we made, and actually,
a lot of young people that were from UT and whatnot were there, and they were really excited, and they liked what we were doing. Of course, you have the normal amount of people trying to sell you something, but
of course,
but that's fine. But for the most part, we had just really great response. Was finally starting to see something, the light at the end of the tunnel, and in that 1 month, we had doubled our users.
Yeah.
In just that 1 month, and we continue to grow our users and our following on social media, and we've had a lot of other things we can't talk about because they're not finalized over the rest of the year, right?
We had some investors that we were talking to. We've started on our investor list. We've talked to several investors along the way, and then that's where we actually started talking to state representatives, and we started talking to regulators, and so it got really exciting really fast in the social app arena.
Yeah. And yeah, it was looking really great, and now we're into January, and now it's 2023. We kind of know where we've been.
Yep, and we know where we're going.
And we know where we're going, right? So let's talk about a little bit about that, like where we're going.
So the goal is to reach 5,000 daily active users, right? That will get us to I always forget this part. Where we're going to 5,000 daily active users will get us to angel investors, right? Then the next phase is about 50,000 daily active users, and then 1 million daily active users will get us into basically the next stage where we're then talking to the Sequoia and like the real active investors.
Yeah. It's exciting. So I have to be totally honest. Like about halfway through, because last year you did kind of CEO boot camp.
Yeah.
To kind of just give us another boost, right?
Right.
So talk about that a little bit, because I want to talk about kind of some things that came out of that too.
So also the excitement of 2022, we are in Founders Institute, where we've actually been a graduate of Founders Institute, which connects us to all the other graduates, and then that whole network of investors and other graduates of that program. So it has been quite the learning experience. They run you through the whole gamut of background information and training, and basically how to teach you to be an owner or a basically high-level executive of a startup company, teaching you the financial capabilities and how to talk to investors. Next is evolution to then create a pitch deck and focus on having that information at your beck and call to be able to speak to folks about your company and where it goes in the future. So that gave us the background and the footing to be able to take the company to the next level and to be able to talk about the company from a stronger standpoint and to be able to pitch it more consistently and more from the understanding of what investors need to know and what users need to get out of the products that we create.
Cool. And now along this way, I remember somebody introduced you to Mr. Beast.
Yes.
Not the actual Mr. Beast, but his work and the stuff he does on YouTube.
So one of the activities was to make sure we're focusing on the social side of things and make sure you're the expert in the field, right? And we have connected to Gary Vee. We've connected to Elon Musk has been following us, right? And so, but one of the aspects was to like connect to social followers, and Mr. Beast is the biggest social follower connection out there, and so I started looking at that. But you always start local, and so one of the local guys said, "Hey, go talk to Mr. Beast." They kind of had even a different aspect to Mr. Beast because he said, "Oh, he's a party boy." It's like I didn't get the feel that Mr. Beast is always a party boy. He's more like he ends up being more of a giver than he is a party atmosphere all the time. And so I started following him, seeing what he was doing, and I think we can do similar aspects, but I think as far as our Arro TV production side, I think we could be a good aspect to Mr. Beast along those lines, and I think realistically, I think we could really be a great social network for Mr. Beast that would allow him to do some of his other production or the things that he can't show on YouTube. He's constantly saying some of the things he can't show on YouTube because
But we can show it.
we can
I'm
show
pretty sure I
anything.
can talk to the president of Arrow TV,
Yeah,
and he'll
might have
probably
that
let
access.
he'll let it pass.